Starts with something much more familiar: regret. We meet a group of longtime friends gathering in a London pub. At first glance, everything seems normal. Drinks on the table, jokes being exchanged. The kind of conversation friends have when they've known each other for years. But beneath the laughter, there's tension. Something unspoken sitting in the middle of the room. Because these men aren't just friends. They're survivors of a tragedy that none of them have truly moved on from. Among them is Luke. Quiet, observant. The kind of person who seems physically present but mentally somewhere else. Like part of him is trapped in a memory he can't escape. The group begins discussing vacation plans. Originally, they wanted something exciting, something adventurous, something that would remind them of their younger years. But those plans suddenly feel insignificant, because not long ago they lost someone, their friend Robert, and everything changed after that. Robert wasn't just another member of the group. He was the kind of friend who brought energy into every room, the kind of person who naturally held people together. And now he's gone. As the conversation continues, the audience begins to understand that Luke is carrying a burden heavier than anyone else. A burden he never talks about, because Luke was there the night Robert died. It happened during what should have been an ordinary trip to a convenience store. A simple stop. Nothing unusual, nothing dangerous, until armed robbers entered. Suddenly, everything changed. The atmosphere became tense. Every second mattered. Every decision mattered. Luke was forced to make one. Fight or hide. When the danger appeared, Luke chose survival. He slipped into a nearby aisle and stayed hidden. Frozen. Terrified. Hoping it would end. Meanwhile, Robert stood face to face with the robbers. And he paid the price. By the time it was over, Robert was dead. And Luke was alive. But surviving wasn't a victory. It became a punishment, because from that moment forward, Luke was haunted by a single question. Could he have done something? Could he have intervened? Could he have saved his friend? The tragedy becomes the invisible force driving the entire story. Even though the forest hasn't appeared yet, even though the creature hasn't shown itself, the real horror has already begun. Because guilt has a way of growing in silence. The longer it's ignored, the stronger it becomes. Eventually, the group decides on a hiking trip through Sweden. On the surface, it's meant to honor Robert's memory, a chance to reconnect, a chance to heal, a chance to move forward. But beneath that explanation lies a deeper truth. None of them know how to deal with what happened. So instead of confronting it, they run from it. They convince themselves that a new environment will somehow change old wounds. That distance will bring peace. That nature will provide answers. But grief doesn't work that way. Neither does guilt. You can't leave it behind. You carry it with you, and that's exactly what Luke is doing. As the group arrives in Sweden, surrounded by breathtaking landscapes and endless wilderness, they believe they're stepping into a fresh chapter. The mountains stretch across the horizon. The forests seem endless. The world feels untouched. Peaceful, beautiful, safe. But appearances can be deceptive, because sometimes the most dangerous places don't announce themselves. Sometimes they wait patiently, hidden behind beauty, hidden behind silence, hidden behind trees. And although none of them realize it yet, the moment they step into that wilderness, something notices them, something ancient, something watching from deep within the forest, waiting for them to come closer, waiting for them to carry their guilt deeper into its territory. And before long, the forest will stop feeling like a destination and start feeling like a trap. At this point, they think the worst thing they're carrying is guilt. But very soon, they're about to discover something in the forest that has been waiting much longer than they have. What once felt open now feels closed. Every direction looks the same. Every path looks identical. It's the kind of place where losing your bearings happens quickly. The deeper they go, the stranger things become. Then they find it, a mutilated elk, suspended high among the trees, his body twisted unnaturally, its organs exposed, hanging far above the ground where no normal predator could have placed it. The group freezes. Nobody understands what they're looking at. An animal attack doesn't explain this. Some suggest turning back. Others argue they're already too far in. And that's how danger often works. Not through reckless decisions, but through small compromises. One bad choice justified by another. So they continue, hoping the explanation is simple, hoping the forest will become normal again. As evening approaches, a thick fog begins creeping through the trees. The group desperately searches for shelter, somewhere dry, somewhere away from whatever may be moving through the forest. Then they see it, a structure hidden between the trees, an old cabin, standing alone, deep in the wilderness. At first, relief washes over them. Finally, shelter, protection from the storm, place to rest. But something about the cabin feels wrong immediately. It isn't abandoned in the normal sense. It feels deserted, forgotten, like people didn't leave it, like they fled from it. The closer they get, the stranger it becomes. The windows are dark. The wood is rotting. Yet somehow the structure is still standing, waiting, almost expecting visitors. Dom wants to keep moving. His instincts are screaming at him. Every warning signal in his mind tells him to leave. But the storm is getting worse. Night is approaching, and they don't have many options. So they step inside. The moment the door opens, the atmosphere changes. The air feels heavy, stale, unnatural. Dust covers everything. Furniture sits untouched, as though time stopped years ago. Yet something doesn't add up. This doesn't look like a normal home. It looks like a place built around something. Purpose, a ritual. Then they discover the upper floor, and everything changes. Hidden among the shadows is something horrifying. An effigy, a twisted wooden figure, the shape vaguely human, yet unmistakably wrong. Antlers protrude from its head. Branches stretch from its body. It resembles some ancient deity forgotten by history. Around it are signs of worship, symbols, offerings, objects carefully arranged. Not decorations, devotion. Someone believed in this thing. Someone prayed to it. The room falls silent. Nobody knows what they're looking at. Yet everyone understands one thing. This place was never meant for travelers. It was built for something else. Something ancient. Something hidden. Eventually, exhaustion wins. Despite every warning sign, they decide to spend the night inside. A decision they will soon regret. Because the cabin isn't shelter. It's an invitation. Night falls. Rain pounds against the roof. Wind screams through the forest. Sleep comes slowly, uneasily, and when it does, the nightmares begin. Luke suddenly finds himself somewhere impossible. Not in the cabin, not in Sweden, but back inside the convenience store where Robert died. The shelves, the lights, the blood, everything is exactly as he remembers, except something feels different, wrong, distorted, like reality itself is bending. Luke hears movement. He turns, but instead of seeing the robbers, he sees the forest, trees growing inside the building, branches crawling across the walls. The nightmare merges past and present into one terrifying image. Then he wakes up, gasping for air, confused, terrified, and he's not alone. Around him, the others are behaving strangely. One man is kneeling, another is praying, another is standing motionless in a corner. None of them appear fully awake, like sleepwalking worshippers responding to something unseen. The scene is deeply unsettling, not because anyone is attacking them, but because nobody understands what's happening. It feels as if something entered the cabin during the night, something invisible, something powerful, something capable of reaching directly into their minds. When morning finally arrives, nobody says much. The cabin is behind them now, but whatever happened inside it isn't. The men exchange uneasy glances, each hoping someone else will explain what they experienced during the night. No one does. Luke notices the strange scratches across his chest. Phil has bruises he can't explain. The others remember fragments of terrifying dreams, but none of them fit together. It's as if something reached into each of their minds and found the one memory they wanted buried forever. They don't understand it yet, but the forest isn't just surrounding them anymore. It's studying them, learning them, feeding on the guilt each of them carries. Determined to leave that place behind, they pack up and continue walking. But something has changed. The forest no longer feels like a place. It feels like a maze. They walk for hours, convinced they're heading in the right direction. Yet every clearing looks familiar. Every cluster of trees feels like they've already passed it. Even the sunlight filtering through the branches seems different now. Time itself feels distorted. And with every mile, frustration grows. Dom finally snaps. He blames Hutch for suggesting the shortcut. Phil blames everyone for ignoring the obvious warning signs. Hutch tries to calm the group, insisting they'll eventually find the trail again. But nobody believes him anymore. Luke remains mostly silent, not because he has answers, but because he's becoming convinced that this isn't an accident. It feels intentional, as though the forest is quietly steering them wherever it wants them to go. Luke climbed to the top of the ridge, hoping to spot anything useful. A clearing, some sign of escape. As he ran toward the crest, his pace slowed. The forest stretched endlessly before him, every tree and trail identical, blending into a disorienting maze with no distinguishable landmarks. What he didn't know was that something else was there, something hidden, watching from the shadows of the forest. A wave of fear washed over him. He raced back to the group, desperate to warn them about what he'd seen. But they didn't believe him. They dismissed it as imagination, a daydream brought on by exhaustion and stress. Then Dom turned on him. His words cut deep. "It's your fault Robert is dead. If you had stood up and fought beside him, he might still be alive. But you did nothing." Those words ignited something in Luke. Anger surged through him. In a flash, he punched Dom square in the nose, dropping him to the forest floor. With tensions high and trust fractured, the group pressed on, still lost, walking deeper into the endless forest with no way out. As evening fell, the group realized they needed to rest until morning. With no other choice, they set up a small campsite, hoping a single night of sleep would give them enough strength to continue their journey. But deep down, they all knew the forest wasn't just dangerous. It felt as if something was watching their every move. Sleep, however, never came easily for Luke. Lying inside the tent, disturbing flashes raced through his mind. He saw twisted trees growing through memories of Robert being struck in the head by the robber at the convenience store. The trauma was beginning to consume him, making it almost impossible to separate reality from hallucination. Whether these visions were caused by guilt or by the forest itself, Luke could no longer tell. Then, he heard it. A deep, unsettling sound echoed through the trees, far too heavy to belong to any ordinary animal. Fearing something was wrong, Luke grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside. He found Phil kneeling on the ground, trembling as he whispered that the creature had been there. Luke didn't understand what Phil meant, but one thing was obvious. The fear in his voice was real. He rushed to Dom's tent to look for Hutch. Before anyone could react, a blood-curdling scream ripped through the forest. It was Hutch. Without hesitation, Luke, Dom, and Phil ran toward the sound, calling Hutch's name over and over. They searched through the darkness for the entire night, but every path led to silence. The forest seemed determined to hide whatever had taken him. By sunrise, hope was beginning to disappear. Then they saw something hanging high among the trees. As they slowly walked closer, their worst nightmare became reality. It was Hutch. Only hours earlier, he had been alive. Now his lifeless body hung high above the ground, brutally displayed like a twisted trophy. The shocking sight left them completely speechless. But this wasn't just a kill. Whoever or whatever had done this wanted them to find the body. It was a terrifying warning. Instead of simply hunting its victims, the creature appeared to feed on fear, breaking its prey mentally before striking again. The three men stood frozen in disbelief. Fear quickly turned into panic as they realized the creature could still be nearby, watching their every move. There wasn't enough time to give Hutch a proper burial. Digging a grave would leave them exposed for far too long. So instead, Dom gathered a pile of branches and carefully covered Hutch's body, a heartbreaking farewell to a friend they couldn't save. Without saying another word, the remaining three continued walking, deeper into the forest, deeper into the unknown. And with every step forward, it became painfully clear that surviving this nightmare would require more than strength. The forest wasn't just testing their bodies, it was slowly tearing apart their minds. Dom and Phil were exhausted after hours of walking through the forest. Dom struggled the most because of an old leg injury, while Luke remained hopeful after spotting what looked like the end of the forest. When Luke turned around, he noticed Phil scanning the darkness with his flashlight as if something was hiding nearby. Suddenly, a massive creature burst out at incredible speed, grabbed Phil, and dragged him into the woods. Phil's screams echoed through the forest as Luke stood frozen in shock, unable to help. Panicking, Luke finally ran for his life, but he slammed into a tree and was knocked unconscious. When Luke woke up, he found himself back inside the abandoned convenience store. Robert was still lying on the floor unconscious. Confused and unsettled, Luke picked up a flashlight and began searching for Dom and Phil, calling out their names, but there was no answer. After a while, he spotted Dom hiding behind a broken tree. Luke quickly joined him and asked if he had seen what happened to Phil, but Dom explained that everything happened too quickly to clearly understand what the creature was. Realizing they were still in danger, Luke and Dom decided to move immediately and search for a safer place. As they ran through the forest, strange sounds echoed around them, branches snapping and movement between the trees, forcing them to keep running without stopping. Soon after, they came across a heartbreaking sign that Phil had been taken. It became clear that whatever was in the forest had struck again, and nowhere was truly safe. After some time, Luke and Dom stumbled upon a cabin in the forest. With their remaining strength, they entered and collapsed on the floor, unaware that the place was occupied by a group of locals who worshipped the creature. Before they could react, both men were overpowered and knocked unconscious. When Luke woke up, he found himself tied up inside the cabin. Confused and terrified, he looked around and saw an old woman enter the room with two men. She offered Luke water, but ignored Dom completely. Something strange happened when she noticed a mark on Luke's chest that matched her own. Without a word, she left and ordered the men to take Dom away. Dom was brutally beaten as he was dragged out, while Luke could only listen helplessly from the room. Later, a young woman came in and revealed that they were preparing for a sacrifice, hinting that Dom had been chosen. Dom was eventually brought back, badly injured, and warned Luke that he might not survive the night. He asked Luke to burn everything and escape if anything happened to him. Luke tried to calm him down, refusing to believe it would end that way. But Dom insisted he had seen it in a dream, along with visions of his wife, Gail. Soon after, the locals took Dom away and tied him up on a wooden structure, preparing for something unknown. As they waited in silence, the atmosphere suddenly changed, and Dom looked around in confusion as the group bowed their heads, as if something or someone was about to arrive. Suddenly, Dom saw a shocking figure appear from the forest, Gail, his wife. She walked toward him, but something felt wrong. In an instant, she transformed into a terrifying creature. It became clear the monster was using the form of his deepest fear to manipulate him. Before Dom could react, the creature overpowered him and fatally attacked him, leaving Luke helplessly tied inside the cabin. In desperation, Luke managed to break his thumb to slip out of the ropes. Free at last, he searched the cabin and found weapons. As he moved upstairs, he came across a horrifying, inhuman figure and immediately set the entire cabin on fire. As chaos broke out, Luke fought his way out, grabbing a gun and shooting anyone who tried to stop him. Outside, the creature's followers were in panic as the burning cabin collapsed behind them. For the first time, the creature's true form was revealed, something truly unnatural and horrifying. Luke didn't hesitate and fired at it, but this only enraged it further. He ran into the forest, but the creature chased him down and knocked him to the ground. Just when it seemed over, Luke realized he was close to the edge of the forest. In a final desperate move, he knelt before the creature, confusing it long enough to create an opening. He quickly grabbed an axe and struck it, forcing the creature back. Luke used the moment to escape, running until he finally made it out of the forest. The creature stopped at the edge, unable to follow, as Luke collapsed outside, finally free from the nightmare. Though he survives, the horrifying memories of the forest and the monstrous god will haunt him forever. Was the creature defeated, or did it simply decide to let him go? That's the terrifying ending of the ritual. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more horror movie recaps.